Good morning and welcome back. This is Mr. Treewin. It's another installment of geometry. Today's first little video, it's a two-part video. We're going to look at something called complementary angles. So we define complementary angles as two angles are complementary if and only if their angle measure sum is 90. So what we're saying is if two angles add up to 90 degrees, they're what they call complementary. Now, we have three little examples we're going to go over, and so for each one of these we're just going to jump right in, and on using our definition we're looking for angles that add up to 90. So let's look at our first example and see if we can figure out what they're asking us and how we calculate it. So for our first example, I've given you a diagram. We're looking at a couple different angles. We have one that's 32 degrees. We have one that has no measurement at all. And then we have one over here with this little symbol that looks like a little square. So I'm just going to review that term just in case you might have forgot. But that little square, that little thing right there is indicating that that's called a right angle. So anytime we have a right angle, we use that little symbol just to make sure that everyone knows, not but judging by appearance, just judging by evidence that this is 90 degrees. Once again, I don't want anybody ever making an assumption that something's 90 degrees just because it looks like it's making a 90-degree angle. We always need evidence in geometry. So we're looking for a little thing like that that tells me, hey, that's 90 degrees. Now on the flip side of that, we can use that 90 degrees to figure out what the other side is. So because we have a straight line here formed by two opposite rays, we know that we have from here all the way around, if you make a straight line, it has to be 180 degrees. So if this side is 90, then that tells me that these two over here have to add up to 90. So if I use angle addition and I write this out, I can tell you that looking at the picture, I know that ABC, and I'm going to write this as angle addition first, ABC plus ABD has to add up to 90 degrees because this side's 90, which means this side's 90. So now, using angle addition, I know that they have to add up to 90 degrees. Now, if I substitute in a value for one of them, I can figure out the other one. So since I know that ABC is 32, now I know that 32 plus angle ABD equals 90. So if I minus 32 degrees from both sides, I can now figure out that the answer must be 58 degrees. Because 90 minus 32 is 58 degrees. So now I know that this is 58. You can always check your math just by adding the two together. So 58 plus 32 again makes 90. So this is a demonstration of what's called angle addition, and I'm using the definition of what a complementary angle is. All right, let's look at the next one. This one's a little bit more of an algebraic expression, and despite what I had just said, I still made that same mistake of not writing the little mark in there. So let me fix that real quick. Okay, on this one, let's use that same logic that if I see that this is 90 degrees on this side, and I form a straight line because I've got an opposite ray here, opposite of that one over there. So I've got a straight line. Now, I see this 90 degrees, that tells me that these two have to add up to 90 degrees as well. So let's do that. Let's set up a problem and use angle addition and see if we can't solve for x. And guess what happens if I can solve for x? I can get this angle and then I can get this angle, but first I have to solve for x. So let's make this into an algebraic expression using angle addition. So first thing we know is that WXY, so I have angle WXY plus angle ZXY have to add up to 90 degrees. Now, what I can do is substitute in some values. So for example, WXY, I know algebraically is represented by 3x, because it's 3x. And then on this one, ZXY is 6x take away 9. And we know all this equals 90. So let's do a little bit of collecting like terms. So 3x and 6x makes 9x minus 9 equals 90. And then if I add 9 to both sides, 9x equals 99. That tells me that x is equal to 11. And that's great. Algebra teachers everywhere are impressed. However, this is geometry, so I'm going to need to take this a step further, and I need to plug this in and get some of the measurements, because that's what I'm really looking for. So knowing that x's are now equal to 11, let's substitute those in for each value. So up here, wxy was 3x. So if I substitute that in, that tells me that this one is 33 degrees. If I plug in that 11 over here, so now I've got 6 times 11 is 66. And then I got to take away 9, so 66 take away 9, what do we get there? And we should have 57 degrees. And again, I can double check my math. I can look at this and say, all right, does 33 plus 57 add up to 90? Yes, it does, so I know this is correct. And again, we're using angle addition. We're using a little bit of what I call substitution. Whenever I plug in an expression for an angle, or I plug in some numbers for some letters, or variables, that's called substitution. All right, last thing I need to look at is right here. This is a little bit of a word problem, but it's the same thing. It's an algebraic expression if you think about it. It says, the complement of an angle is twice the angle. Okay, so complementary in itself means two angles. So I know that I have two angles, and one of them is twice the other. The problem is I don't know what the other is. So let's start with the one that we'll call the other. I have no idea what it is, so we're just going to give that a variable of x. And then I know that the complement of that angle is twice the angle. So then that means the complement must be 2x. And what do I know about complementary? They have to add up to 90 degrees. So let's do a little bit of collecting like terms. 1x and 2x is 3x equals 90, dividing by 3. X is equal to 30. Now remember, it says the complement of an angle is twice the angle. What is the measure of each angle? Well, one is 30, so the other one has to be 2 times 30, which would then be, oops, something in there, hold on. 2 times 30, making the other one 60. So I have 30 degrees and 60 degrees. So this is what we call complementary. So keeping it short, that's the end of this video. Just want to pick up in a minute with something called supplementary.